watching the SEC on ESPN. Tonight from Rupp Arena, #1 Kentucky in action, and they will be led by their super freshman, one of the top freshmen in the land, Julius Randle, one of the top players in the land. He's gone 20-10 each of his first 3 college games. Packed house in Rupp. Kentucky and Robert Morris is next. And welcome inside Rupp Arena as we get ready to bring you college basketball. #1 Kentucky playing host to Robert Morris. A rematch of last year's NIT first-round matchup. And, of course, the Colonials winning that one. An upset win over Kentucky at home for John Calipari, a Pittsburgh native. It was a return home that was not very pleasant.
We got smacked.
Robert Morris has certainly delivered the first punch.
They deserved to win the game throughout. They were up 10-0.
Robert Morris is pitching a shutout.
They were more physical. They made shots. They appeared to be more skilled. They beat us every which way.
For 3, no good! Robert Morris has beaten Kentucky. Hi, everybody. Welcome courtside. John Shambi alongside Jimmy Dykes. You were there last season when Robert Morris knocked off Kentucky, but the story here tonight, how does Kentucky bounce back from that loss against Michigan State?
You know, for 4 or 5 days now, we've heard that Kentucky's young and they're going to get better. And I think they will, but it doesn't just happen. You know, 4 days older, 4 weeks older, 4 months older doesn't equate to better. Better is what equates to better. And John Calipari needs improvement tonight in some key areas. Toughness, defensive stance. A year ago, Robert Morris was better than Kentucky. That can't continue tonight.
Coach Calipari knows that the intensity will be brought by Robert Morris. As far as our one-on-one matchup, what do you have?
Well, Robert Morris knocked Kentucky all around the gym for 40 minutes last year, but tonight it's lottery versus lucky. Lottery in the form of Julius Randle, because that's what he's going to be, a lottery pick. Off to a tremendous start. He is a beast on the box, getting to the free throw stripe about 11 times a game. 12% of Kentucky's points on the year come from Julius Randle's free throws made. And the lucky part of the game is Lucky Jones from Robert Morris. The most complete guy that Robert Morris will put on the floor tonight. Was terrific last year in the upset. Got tossed because of a flagrant 2 foul. But Lucky Jones will take on the lottery pick of Julius Randle in this ballgame.
Starting lineup for Andy Toole's Colonials. Anthony Myers-Pate, the point guard. Carvel Anderson leads him in scoring. It's Aaron Tate, Lucky Jones, Mike McFadden, the rest of the lineup. Meanwhile, for Kentucky, they'll start 5 freshmen for the first time in program history. The Twins in the backcourt, Andrew Harrison, the point guard. His brother Aaron, the shooting guard. James Young, Julius Randle, and Marcus Lee gets the start in place of Willie Cauley-Stein.
Did we just have the first court storm of the year in the game prior to us?
I would say so.
I haven't seen one yet. That might be the first official court storm of the 2013 season.
Well, Marcus Lee wins the tip, Kentucky basketball. And immediately a foul as Pat Adams has the call, charged to Anthony Myers-Pate.
Myers-Pate just his hands all over Harrison at the top of the key. That is easy call to make.
5th year for Coach John Calipari, the head man at Kentucky. National title a couple of seasons ago. 8th national title in program history. And again, Andrew Harrison handling here. He is a crucial piece. John Calipari has started freshman point guards before, and they need to get on the same page. Young off the mark, and the rebound pulled down by Anderson.
Robert Morris started switching everything up top, and they were actually fronting the post of Julius Randle on the inside, something that Kentucky and Randle has not seen so far this season.
Anderson here, their leading scorer, and now the give-off. McFadden and a foul. Mike McFadden, the Iona transfer, will go to the line. Andy Toole, just 33 years old. He's in his 4th season at Robert Morris. They just signed him to a 3-year extension. Beat Kentucky in the first round, lost to Providence in the second round of the NIT last year.
He had a great story. He's out on the recruiting trail this summer at an AAU tournament outside of the state of Kentucky, and he said he's walking by the bleachers full of fans, and he hears a 12-year-old kid say, "Hey, Coach, November 17th. And he says, he turns around, he's like, what are you talking about, to this 12-year-old kid? And he says, November 17th, I'll be in Rupp, and we're waiting on you. A 12-year-old kid talking smack to the head coach of Robert Morris back in the summer. Kind of sums up Kentucky basketball.
McFadden gives Robert Morris the 1-0 lead. Just getting started. John Shambi, Jimmy Dykes here in Lexington. #1 Kentucky in action, at least #1 for now. New poll will come out tomorrow. Randle rebound inside. Little too strong. Put back wouldn't go. And they'll set it back up.
You just don't know if Robert Morris can get enough rebounds in this ball game. That is the #1 concern.
Aaron Harrison hit a 3. Andy Toole said, we're going to make him shoot threes.
Well, there's a reason why. Kentucky's shooting 26% on the year so far from the three-point line. The visitors will have a pack-the-lane mentality and force Kentucky to beat them from deep. Andy Toole told his kids today, if Kentucky beats us making threes, that's on me. If they beat us driving open gaps, that's on you.
So Harrison knocking down the 3, Kentucky with the lead. And early on, it's Aaron Tate with the assignment on Julius Randle. And that'll go the other way. They get the foul on Julius Randle.
Well, it's just a moving screen by Randle in the dribble handoff action. What did John Calipari do in the second half against Michigan State? I was watching the replay Wednesday after the game Tuesday night because I was flying home. 16 times in a row, the play call was to Julius Randle to the box.
Right. He told us today we can't just keep throwing it into him. There's got to be something else. It ends up in Randle's hands. The Wildcats the other way. Young scoop shot, gets it to go. Nicely done by the freshman from Michigan.
John, he can really score. He's wired to score. Maybe the best scorer in this year's freshman class coming out of high school last year. Terrific with his first step and movement of the basketball to the rim.
Anderson going to work, elbow jumper. You will see Robert Morris take a number of threes. There's a travel and a turnover. Turnovers were a big problem in the loss to Michigan State, Jimmy. 17-7, the turnover differential in terms of that game.
You know, and the throw ahead that time was almost on the passer as much as anything. You have to have the eyes of what's ahead of Harrison. You let him right into a travel situation. Kentucky got 26 defensive rebounds against Michigan State. Only 2 transition points off those 26 boards. That's not near enough.
Paulie Stein the block on McFadden. Young trying to feed Randle, who ends up with it anyway. Pulls his way to the rim, and they'll get the bump. So a block inside, and that one will go on Lucky Jones.
John, the first 3 minutes of this game, Robert Morris, surround sound defense on Julius Randle. They're fronting him with the initial defender. Once he gets a touch, they're flooding the side of the floor that he's on. Kentucky has not thrown skip passes so far this season off the low block, and Robert Morris is going to see if they can do it.
Dominique Hawkins has checked in for Kentucky. John Calipari told us he's going to go 9 deep as opposed to 7 deep, which they did last week against Michigan State. Try and cut the minutes down for the guys that are playing a bit. Aaron Harrison back to Randle. Harrison the corner. Got it.
It looks too good coming off of his hand to continue to shoot a low percentage. Think about this. Tim Duncan went through a stretch this week. 3 games, he shot 19% from the field. You still want him shooting shots, though, don't you? Same way with Aaron Harrison.
That's hard to imagine from Tim Duncan. Jones had it poked away by Young. McFadden. Tate gets the offensive rebound. Putback wouldn't go. Randle into the lane, stripped away. Lucky Jones. Jones loses it off his leg. Kentucky basketball.
Aaron Harrison came into this ball game shooting 15% from the three-point line through 3 games. But there's nothing fundamentally wrong with his stroke. Again, the top 2 guard in the country last year in high school basketball.
Back here in Kentucky. John Shabby, Jimmy Dykes, Wildcats at 8-1 lead, but in the Champions Classic, Michigan State knocking off #1. Turnovers and steals a huge part of the equation.
Well, you look at what Kentucky did, the transition points by Michigan State. Because of those turnovers of Kentucky, they continued in the first half to drive it where the gap help was already sitting and waiting on him. Julius Randle was a big part of it, and as a result, the next day, the Pursuit of Perfection t-shirts around Lexington is now a clearance item at $1.99. I would love to have had one of those t-shirts. That's crazy talk to begin with. A young team like this could go pursue perfection, but get a good deal on a t-shirt. Good Christmas presents right now available for $1.99.
Can you go 40-0 when that dream has been dashed? They're now 2-1. Let's see if Robert Morris can get in sync offensively. And that'll go the other way.
What Robert Morris is trying to do is move Kentucky. Move him to the second or the third side of the floor. Kentucky was not good in a defensive discipline stance for 40 minutes against Michigan State. They ball watched, and Robert Morris wants to make them work, but you can't make them work having turnovers yourself.
Foul on Stephen Hawkins. That's his first. Yeah, as opposed to Kentucky, Robert Morris shoots the three very well, and they hope to rely on it here today. Haven't knocked one down as of yet. Randle with Jeremiah Wortham on him. Feed inside. And Poitras couldn't get it to go.
Kentucky went to their power game. Just curl move for Poitras off that low block. Something they used to run from Michael Kidd-Gilchrist and made a living off of it.
Oliver can't hit. Rebound by Andrew Harrison. Young off balance. Inside, Poitras puts it home. So much size right now on the court, width and height for Kentucky.
And Kentucky's playing a lot closer to a scratch your eyeball out competitive fire. Something that they did not have for 40 minutes against Michigan State.
That one way off from Worthing. John Calipari talked about the need for his team to step up the intensity. Said these freshmen, they need to understand how hard you have to play at this level.
I think that's my #1 question for Kentucky right now. Do they understand how hard it's going to be at this level every night?
Poitras, the sophomore, had it ripped away, and now Myers Pate up ahead. Colonials without a field goal, and Myers Pate will go to the line. He'll shoot 2.
John Calipari's not going to put up with not stopping the basketball up top off of a miss. You see Hawkins getting ready to check in, probably for Harrison, because he's assigned that basketball.
Aaron Harrison said to check back in. Dakari Johnson, another prized freshman, ready to come into the game. That's him on the right.
John, if you want to help your team win, it doesn't matter if you're junior high, college, or NBA. You want to help your team win, have an aggressive personality. And if you don't naturally have one, fake it for 2 hours. But you cannot get to the player that you want to be being passive.
I like that. Fake it for 2 hours.
Sometimes you have to.
Yeah, not everybody's wired the same way. Myers Pate long there. Rebound and Aaron Harrison. Look at Randle handle the basketball.
As long as he doesn't dance with it, he's fine.
Want to work on Wortham. Feed. Good ball movement.
And that was big-time ball movement. First of all, the pass by Julius Randle. He had about a 1-foot window to feed that thing through. We were right in line with it. He has terrific control over his 250 pounds.
Lonnie Newton has it knocked away, and here's Randle pushing up ahead. Feed inside. Johnson is fouled.
Message sent, message received by John Calipari in terms of when we get the ball off the defensive board, we want to run it right up their backside. Look at the pass by Randle. He actually left his feet looking to the far corner at the last second, changes his mind. He drives baseline. He's looking far corner. It's not there. Boom, boom. That's not the extra pass. That's the right pass. Then it results in 3 points for Harrison.
And here is Dakari Johnson, the top center in the freshman class in the country. Wholesale changes for Andy Toole's team. Lucky Jones checking back in, as well as Carvel Anderson.
Completely different start to the game this year than last year in Moon Township, Pennsylvania. Robert Morris through the first 4 or 5 blows. Kentucky never threw any back.
It was 10-0 early in that game.
Crazy. I told John Calipari 90 minutes before the ball game, you are in trouble. That building holds 3,000. There was 4,000 in it, and it was going nuts 90 minutes prior to the tip.
Johnson banks it home. All Kentucky early on. The Wildcats 3 out of 5 from 3 in this game. They came in shooting 26% from beyond the arc. David Apollon here. Looking for some help. They get it ahead. Anderson, feed to McFadden, couldn't hang on to it. And a travel.
Poitras is better at catching on the move right now in his career than he is catching at a standstill and making a move. That's the next step in his progression. Catching, dropping those hips, sweeping hard, attacking someone's hip. He's very good catching on the move towards the rim.
Each team with 5 turnovers. Anderson, their leading scorer, and off the mark again. Jones tracks down the board. Lucky at the rim, blocked, but he's fouled. Well, Robert Morris aggressive going at all that Kentucky size. Still, the Colonials don't have a field goal.
Just the size of Kentucky around that rim, John, can overwhelm folks. Robert Morris is a small team. They have a lot of fight in them, but a 6'5" fighter is not going to hold up to a 6'9" or 6'10" or a 7-foot fighter. And that's what they're up against right now.
Kentucky, the second biggest team in the country. Andy Toole knows his team better rebound right now. They got to start making some shots. They're the second tallest team, and then the second most inexperienced team. So we're tall and we're young. Although that doesn't really say it all about them. Very, very talented.
It's November the 17th, and with any team in the country, what can they be on March the 17th is the bottom line. And this Kentucky team has a chance to be special if they become a highly competitive group.
No shot, foul on the floor. And they get that one on Apollon. Number 1, team foul number 5 on Robert Morris.
Aaron Harrison's three-point shooting has loosened up a little bit already Robert Morris's defense.
Harrison again. Fight for the loose ball inside, and it's Marcus Lee with a putback.
I love the activity and the effort that Marcus Lee brings to the floor. For a kid his size, his second bounce, his second jump is extremely quick. Now Robert Morris has to drive the ball to the paint for kickouts. They can't drive and try to finish. The size is swallowing them up around the rim.
Tate with the Colonials' first field goal of the game. Aaron Tate, junior college transfer. Kentucky has looked sharp offensively early on. Young with a good look at a 3. Tate pulls down the board. That one way off the mark, and it ends up. Now Tate on the baseline, in and out. Paulie Stein the board. Robert Morris, every shot it seems being contested.
I think as Kentucky continues to grow and figure out who they are defensively, there's no reason for them to be overstretched this year. They have the size on the perimeter, play on the three-point line, challenge three-point shooters from that spot, and completely take away gap attacks by where they are with their size.
So you're saying more pack it in.
That absolutely. If I'm playing Kentucky, I want them to overstretch so I can go around them.
4 in the shot clock. Harrison couldn't hit. Offensive rebound. They'll set it back up. Well, Andy Toole knew that that was going to be a problem, rebounding the basketball. Right now his team down 13. We close in on 10 to go. First half. And Harrison will go to the line. Aaron Harrison, one of the prize freshmen for Kentucky, will shoot when we return. 5 of the top 9 freshmen in the land on this Kentucky team. We'll examine the fabulous Frosh when we come back. Now, John Calipari's been known as a great recruiter during his time in Kentucky. 09, the #1 class in the land. They made the Elite 8. 2010, #1 class in the land. A Final Four berth. #1 again in 2011, and they were the 2012 NCAA champs. And then #2, they lost in the NIT first round. They're back at #1 again with 5 top 10 recruits.
And already for next year, they're being projected as the #1 recruiting class as well. And this is what John Calipari has to work with right now. The #1 recruiting class on paper, the best we've ever seen. But now let's wait and see what plays out. Certainly Julius Randle is a guaranteed lottery pick, if not the #1 pick in the next draft. From that point on, there are a lot of guys potentially that are going to be good NBA players, but the word potential is huge right now on this team. It's that competitive fire, drive that those other classes, especially the national championship team, they had from day one, John, and they never let it go.
You touched on it in the open, the idea of getting better. It's kind of an afterthought, or at least assumed. What's your take there?
I think it's assumed, absolutely. Older doesn't make you better. It never has in any area of life. And where can you get better? I asked John Calipari today. He talked about it in our approach to practices, in our approach to our scouting reports, in our attitude, in our effort, in our execution. Those things have to get better every day. And so far, from the Michigan State game to tonight, they have. #1, at least in a stance tonight, they weren't in a stance against Michigan State on defense.
Carvel Anderson wanders into the paint. Now the kick out, McFadden. Little fadeaway. And with Dakari Johnson contesting, that's out of bounds. It'll stay with Robert Morris. 12 on the shot clock. Now, John Calipari alluded to the new rules changes. He said he felt at times his team kind of used the rules as an excuse to stop playing. Catch and shoot there. Anderson buries a 3.
I love everything about Carvel Anderson. I mean, this is a young man that during his high school days, he and his family were homeless for a while. He's had a very, very difficult background. He appreciates every minute that he has in life.
Anderson last year played the last couple of months with a broken bone in his shooting wrist. Still led the team in score. Here's Lucky Jones now. We'll back it out.
Make Kentucky work and get the ball stuck on the first side of the floor.
Jones had a good look at a 3. And now a foul. And that'll be on Kentucky. Back to Carvel Anderson, a guy who can knock down 3s. We got a good look at his stroke.
He can absolutely knock it down. He's averaging 18 on the season, but think about this. He's averaging 16 points in the second half. He's been a slow starter so far this year. He can get his own. NBA guys this week have called me and talked to me about Carvel Anderson. Is that a guy we should look at? And you watch him play and his ability to go get his own. It looks good coming off of his hand. He's kind of a small kid, though, for a 2 guard, but he can put points on the board if you don't check him.
Inside, nice move by Newton, but he couldn't finish. Wani Newton explosive to the rim, just not able to lay it in. There's that skip pass, Cauley Stein to Harrison. Randle lost the handle. Another skip pass, Young.
Well, Julius Randle is answering some questions. How's he going to handle double team, triple teams, playing in traffic as a passer? He's made 2 beautiful passes in traffic so far in this game.
And James Young burying his 3-pointer, 4 threes for Kentucky. And the Wildcats up by 15. Stephen Hawkins and those great socks with the basketball. Ball knocked away, Young stumbling. Andrew Harrison give off Randle. And 2 for the freshman.
Randy needs a timeout because just what he talked about to his guys today, we can't have turnovers that lead to points, and we have to take good shots. They're not doing either one of them right now. John Calipari wanted his young cats to get out and run off the defensive end in this game. Check that yes.
Well, fans, college basketball back on Tuesday night. A journey to the tourney matchup. Chris Crawford and the Tigers take on Marcus Smart and the Cowboys. It's Memphis and Oklahoma State Tuesday at 8 on ESPN. Well, Marcus Smart, some people surprised that he didn't go to the NBA. He comes back at last year's second-team All-American, National Freshman of the Year, Big 12 Player of the Year.
Everything you want in a student athlete is what Marcus Smart brings every day. I think he realized he wasn't ready for the NBA in terms of a point guard yet, so he comes back to work on his game.
Under 8 timeout following the Willie Cauley-Stein foul. John Calipari's team off to a red-hot start.
Well, we talked about Kentucky's freshman class and the freshman focus. They're off to a really good start in this ball game. Aaron Harrison's doing a nice job of fighting for his feet as a shooter, making sure they're underneath him on the touch. Young is just a guy that's wired to score, can make a lot of long plays with his reach around the rim. Marcus Lee, again, his second jump is extremely quick, and then they put him on the point of the press. Julius Randle is just a beast, and you're going to just see him time and time again this year power right through the chin and to the rim of folks over and over and over. I know this. Down those top 4 guys, Wiggins, Parker, Randle, and Gordon, elite talents, but they're also low-maintenance kids that work their tails off. That's what I love about those top 4 as much as anything right now.
Our Wendy's wouldn't watch. Andrew Wiggins, #1 atop the class there, but so much talent throughout the land. And a lot of people think that if you had the draft right now, you'd be 3 freshmen as the top 3 picks in the draft.
Yeah, and really, what are your needs for your team? I know this is November the 17th, but you can't go wrong with any of those top 3 or 4.
A little bit of pressure right here. Cauley-Stein harassing Worthen, and now he drops back. Anthony Myers paid handling the point guard. Robert Morris with just 2 field goals so far in the game.
Dominique Hawkins has really guarded the ball on this possession.
4 in the shot clock. Nice move inside by Charles Oliver. Oliver, who started his college career at Rider, a junior college transfer, and helping them with some scoring off the bench. Oh, from deep, Aaron Harrison. Good hustle, Cauley-Stein, and then Young tracking it down, and a foul on the floor. That'll go on Robert Morris. Well, he wanted them to play hard, talking about Coach Cal, and they've come out and played very hard, the Kentucky Wildcats.
It doesn't matter how talented you are or what you run on offense or defense. If you don't do it hard, it doesn't matter. And John Calipari was talking about that specifically with his guys today at shoot-around. It was not a good shoot-around. That's the only way I can put it. The tension wasn't there, the focus wasn't there, the energy wasn't there, and Cal continued to drive home how important those sessions are.
Hawkins' floater wouldn't go out of bounds, and the Colonials have the basketball.
Julius Randle throws fastballs right on the numbers as a passer. Has not missed yet.
Appelad finds Hawkins. I believe they got Stephen Hawkins with a foul. They did.
Robert Morris is not following their script. They're not making Kentucky move. This is a young ball club. And will Kentucky defend the 5th, 6th, and 7th pass within the possession is what Andrew Toole wants to find out. These guys are jacking it up on the 2nd and 3rd, and the test isn't very hard right now for this young Kentucky team.
Willie Cauley-Stein will go to the line. Already with 6 rebounds, hasn't scored yet in the game.
I read something this week where Willie Cauley-Stein was described as a guy that doesn't rebound out of his area, which I've never understood. I've never seen a coach yet, when the ball's above the rim, tell a kid, this is your area. We don't coach like that. When the ball's above the rim, just go get the dadgum ball. Willie Cauley-Stein is getting 1 rebound every 2.5 minutes that he's on the floor. those numbers are even better tonight.
Now that's something you're seeing more and more. You alluded to it, per minute, great stats, doing a better job of evaluating how well a player is performing as opposed to the counting stats where a guy's going to have an advantage depending on how many minutes he's on the court. Kentucky by 17. John Shambi, Jimmy Dykes here at Rupp, #1 Kentucky, trying to avenge that NIT loss that ended their season last year, although only 4 players on this Kentucky team were part of that loss.
Randle continues to be fronted on the low block.
Young inside, offensive foul. James Young, offensive foul.
If you charge in college basketball this year, just sub yourself out. That's my take on it. We have freed up the ball handler at the front of the play, but we have not freed up the defense to make plays at the back of the play. And that's a good job of the defender being there before the upward motion begins. Young was dead and determined to get to the front of the rim when he caught the basketball. I think we overreacted in building in the charge call, like we're calling it now, the same year that we've also gone to the new rule of how we're guarding the ball out top.
So you're more fine with the hand check stuff than you are with the charge.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But defense still is 50% of the game. And I've seen calls this year where the help defender, John, was in the perfect position, rotated over perfectly, and was set, and the officials had to default to the block call.
Oh, Randle with the lob and the throwdown.
The grown man.
He is something else. Julius Randle goes 6'9", 250, and he's averaged over 20 and 10 so far in his first 3 college games.
The great ones, no matter what you do to them defensively within a ball game, they get to their spot. And what is Julius Randle's spot right now? We know this. On the box, whether it's getting loose in transition or getting loose in the half court, he finds a way to get near the rim. The great ones do it. Julius Randle is a great one.
We talk about freshman impact. And one of the things that makes him special, the physicality. I don't know that there are too many guys in the college game that can handle him and his physical nature any year. Freshman, sophomore, junior, senior.
You could put him in an NBA game tonight and he's going to hold up. He would probably walk away if he played 30 minutes with a double-double because of, like your point is, physically, he's as prepared for that league as any freshman I've seen in the last 15, 16 years I've been at this job.
All Kentucky in this one. As the Cats lead it by 17 and roughly close in on the 5-minute mark. John Calipari's got to be happy, at least so far, with the effort. His team offensively has knocked down some threes. Harrison is fouled as he goes baseline. Aaron Harrison will shoot 2. Julius Randle making some history. The last guy to go at least 20 and 10 each of his first 3 games, Michael Beasley. And look at, these are the 4 to do it in the last 15 seasons. And that's pretty good company. Eddie Griffin, I would not have guessed.
I would have not have guessed Eddie Griffin. Carmelo and Michael don't surprise me, but this kid has a chance to continue to put those numbers up, especially if he improves his free throw stroke just a little bit. He's getting there 11 times a game. 12% of Kentucky's points are from Julius Randle's free throw stroke. That's how hard he is to guard on the box.
And a foul inside. I believe they got Poitras on that.
Poitras just chucked a guy running across a little pro cut across the top of the key. All those calls are so easy to make with that trail official looking at the play from up top.
Coming out is Poitras. Jones at the line for 1 on the box.
1-1 now for Lucky Jones. Lucius, his given name. Played his high school ball for legendary coach Bob Hurley Sr., St. Anthony's in Jersey City.
He has not missed a free throw so far this year. Is this his first time tonight? He's now 14 for 14 on the year.
First time for him in this one.
Lucky Jones, because we were told today when he was born as a baby, he was in a battle for his life with major health issues with his heart.
He had a heart defect.
And his mom said this is one lucky baby when he survived it and fought through it, and the name Lucky stuck and very appropriate.
Travel and a turnover goes the other way for Robert Morris. Correct that on Lucky. He's actually in this one now 2 out of 4 from the stripe in this game.
So he's no longer perfect. Okay.
Nice spin move there. McFadden gets it to go. And Kentucky calls timeout. Now Kentucky, #1 in the country, the pride of the SEC, and the most storied conference in college athletics, will live on a new network. Tradition has found a new home. It's the SEC Network. It launches August of 2014. For more information, go to getsecnetwork.com.
John Calipari takes the timeout because it was a blow-by Robert Morris, and the help side defense was nowhere to be found. Marcus Lee goes out, and he doesn't get low, he doesn't get in a stance, he plays too tall, which this is a tall Kentucky team. But watch right here, hold it guys. As this action comes out top, watch Marcus Lee. He's going to come out tall instead of coming out low. Eventually, the play is going to develop. Watch, boom, he comes out tall. He doesn't sit those hips quick enough. And the weak side defense, no one's on the white line. Those plays should not happen against Kentucky this year. They're too long, they're too physically skilled to be in that position to be not protecting the rim.
Hey, Jimmy, what was Coach Calipari saying to you during the Michigan State practice? Coach Cal was mentioning stance was a problem against Michigan State.
Yeah, it wasn't a problem. They weren't in one. That was the problem. They played extremely tall as a basketball team, and Kentucky's a tall team. They have to purposely understand the importance of playing lower than the guy they're playing against. It took Michael Carter-Williams at Syracuse about a year to figure that out.
Randle, offensive rebound and a putback. Julius Randle with 6 and 7 here. And Kentucky, the lead is ballooned back to 17.
Watch the tape right now, like John Calipari will watch the tape. Watch the guys off the ball defensively. Are they down? Are they in a stance? The answer was no on that one once again.
Lee recovered and blocked that one as Myers-Pate went to the rim. And a bump on the baseline.
Kentucky has terrific recovery speed and recovery length. If they buy into a stance, they're going to be terrific. This guy already is terrific right in front of the rim. Hey, Seth Greenberg, by the way, if you need to get a hold of John Shambi or I, either one on Wednesday or Thursday, we'll be flying to Maui. So either get a hold of us Monday, Tuesday, or Friday this coming week.
My voicemail and beyond, Coach G.
That's my guy. He is all over college basketball.
Aaron Harrison at the line, Kentucky by 17. Aaron and Andrew, the twins from out of the Houston area who spent their high school years competing against Julius Randle, and now they're together as Willie Cauley-Stein checks back in. I thought there was a funny line I read in an interview. There's Andrew Harrison, the point guard, but they asked the two of them, what's the most time you've ever spent apart? And they said a night, not 24 hours, like a few hours.
How about that?
The most time they've ever been apart.
Well, two areas that those twins have to improve on. Name me one great quarterback that was quiet. There's not one.
Right.
Not a great. That's where those Harrison twins, as the point guard and the two guard, the focus of this team up top, they have to become much better talking.
Nice offensive rebound and a putback by Mike McFadden. Young couldn't hit, and that one tipped out by Cauley Stein. Aaron Harrison leads all scorers with 15 in this one. Young weaves his way inside, +1.
Now, that's really a hard shot by Young because he took it into traffic. But again, I talked about how long his arms are to finish off plays around the rim. Watch where he is and watch where that arm goes. He's on the right side of the rim and gets the ball to the left side of the rim on the release. From the right side, boom, to the left side, all because he's 6'7" and extremely long as a scorer.
And a lefty to boot who grew up a big Kentucky fan and a guy that was his favorite player. But I don't know that it's the same game. But Tayshaun Prince, another long lefty from Kentucky.
Kentucky doubling up Robert Morris on the boards. Tells you a lot about this ball game. That one stat.
Andy Toole cannot be delighted about that. Jones the kick out. Hawkins. Stein pulls it down up ahead. Harrison. And he'll shoot 2.
Yeah, Kentucky running off their defense tonight. Something that's been a point of emphasis the last 4 days. I love what Kentucky did on that last defensive series. They switched a lot of stuff 1 through 4. They didn't get overextended. They used their length to close off gaps. I think that's what they will grow into as this year progresses.
Do you think they have a chance to be a good defensive team, or where do you set the bar as far as how good they can be on the defensive end?
I think they have a chance to be great, especially if the two twins both buy into becoming tenacious on-ball defenders, talking early, loud, and constant, and setting the tone up top. Those other guys will follow along. And it's not unusual for young guys to not fight it defensively, but they have to continue to make progress. They have from the Michigan State game up till tonight.
I've had some broadcasts where I've talked early, loud, and constant. I've heard from the folks back in Bristol. They've been happy about it.
That's not what we want, is it? I've been accused of that a few times, I'm sure. Who's going to talk first, me or you?
Young the lob.
Got it. Kentucky's running hard and Robert Morris is not. Shades of what this team can be. On November the 17th, we're getting another snapshot, and that's all we have to work off in college ball right now.
Jones got his shot blocked. He went down hard.
Not only is Robert Morris not running hard, they're not running with size. And you have to have size if you're going to stop this Kentucky team in transition. They are so good, and all of them can make that pass and finish that pass to the opposite side of the rim.
Our practice today, they worked on lobs a ton.
Absolutely.
70 seconds to go here in the first half, and it's all Kentucky. Hawkins inside, rejected. Dominique Hawkins to Willie Cauley-Stein. And Kentucky just putting it on Robert Morris.
Willie Cauley-Stein is now getting back in the party as well, running right down the middle of the floor. Dominique Hawkins does a good job of staying wide, dragging that what could possibly be a defender in front of that rim away as the passer. And that's just way too easy. Kentucky very aggressive. There is a kids' beauty pageant going on in our hotel right here beside us at Rupp Arena.
Yep.
You want to talk about aggressive people? The moms of beauty pageant girls, they are so aggressive getting on the elevator in the lobby. Kentucky plays with that type of aggression, they got a chance to be special. I'm telling you, I witnessed it the last 24 hours in Lexington.
Yeah, we got pushed out of a couple of elevators.
You talk about focus and a purpose and driven.
shot clock, game clock pretty much right on. Maybe a second difference. Kentucky leading by 27. And now the help comes. Myers-Pate, feed inside, and a loose ball. And they get a travel.
Oh, man. Who called timeout or traveling? Wave it off. Wave it off. Come on, Pat Adams, wave it off. Does it matter? It's 44-17.
Pat Adams got the travel immediately.
Well, he did. He traveled, but he also stroked it from about 75 feet. 1-2. I don't know.
I don't either.
Can't you take 1-2 into a layup?
And that'll count.
How about that turnaround? It might matter. I doubt it, but it might.
Carvel Anderson buries a three. What a swing. They're going to take a look at it at the TV monitors.
I'm not convinced that was a travel by Kentucky after looking at the replay. I think Kentucky gets caught. I didn't get caught. That's just a shot. You challenge a shot, you fly at it, you don't foul, and Carvel Anderson just sticks it on you.
So that's going to go, it looks like. But the travel on Andrew Harrison maybe a little questionable. Wow. Kentucky with the lead at the break, 44-20. Now we send it back to the studio. Land Rover halftime report. Steve Weissman and Seth Greenberg.
Point shots in this game. He's 3 out of 5. Really, how far Kentucky can go this year might depend on how good they are shooting the ball from beyond the arc, because they're going to face a ton of shrinking gap man-to-man defenses and zone defenses. Aaron Harrison threw one in from right before the half from about 75 feet that I still think should have counted, and there's something going on in the building because at halftime, bam, even a mascot from beyond.
Everybody hitting them from deep. All right, first half stat sheet, Carvel Anderson, the team's leading scorer. He had 6, including burying the 3 at the buzzer. Meanwhile, Aaron Harrison, 19 points for the Frosh. Robert Morris basketball to start the second half. Rebounds, a huge advantage for Kentucky, 29-14. The Wildcats did turn it over 10 times. But that was a problem in the loss to Michigan State. Anderson catch and shoot, and he gets that one.
I love how that kid fights for his feet as a shooter, runs to his spot, and then, boy, in a split second, it is in and out of his hands, and he really elevates for a small kid.
Dakari Johnson starting the second half. Wouldn't go, but a foul on Mike McFadden.
Watch Carvel Anderson. He's 6'2". He has been electric in the second half of the season so far, averaging 16 points. He comes into that shot, gets his feet dialed into the rim, and then straight up and straight down. Cannot draw it up any better than what Carvel Anderson just did.
Dakari Johnson gets the first, the freshman out of Brooklyn. He actually went to middle school, Dakari Johnson did, in Lexington. So he's familiar with Rupp and with the Kentucky program. Gets them both.
Down in high school, Johnson just moved people out of the way with his 270 whatever pounds it was. He now has to get a go-to shot on the box against equal-sized defenders. That's his next progression.
High school teammates with former Wildcat Michael Pitt Gilchrist. There's Johnson, fight for the loose ball, out of bounds, it stays with Kentucky.
Andrew Toole trying to get Carvel Anderson hot in the second half. Right now, one of the Harrison twins checking him has to know it.
Lucky Jones wandering inside.
This is where Robert Morris wants the ball in the hands of 15.
Jones can't hit. And Hawkins and Andrew Harrison get tangled up.
Yeah, if Robert Morris doesn't make good-looking threes like that, they have absolutely no shot of fighting their way back in this ballgame. That's who they are on the offensive end. They come in making 10 per game, shooting 41% as a team. Everyone on the floor, with the exception of the inside guys, make threes. And if they can't do it in this building, they're going to get blown out.
Kentucky moving the ball well. Harrison, a wide open look. And Randle the board. Pulls his way at the rim, finds Harrison. And a travel. So another turnover. It's a dozen now. Coach Calipari letting Pat Adams have it a little bit. Anderson. And Carvel Anderson able to hit there. So again, the trend continues, heating up in the second half. See Young put it on the floor a decent amount in this game. Randle the pull up. And Tate the board. Here comes Anthony Myers-Pate. Myers-Pate can't hit. It has been a tough start to the season for Anthony Myers-Pate. Look out. James Young.
Kentucky gets that ball off the defensive board and scores with 33 still showing on the shot clock.
One of the things John Calipari wasn't happy about in the Michigan State game, defensive rebounds turning into transition points. They got 26 defensive rebounds, but only 2 transition points off that.
Well, Kentucky is, their ability, first of all, to get the ball off the defensive board, and then the big twins and Young, all 3 of them can bring it on a bounce or 2 and throw really good passes up ahead. And that should be a big part of their offense. They played lazy in their transition offensive game against Michigan State. They jogged the ball up the floor when you go back and watch the tape instead of aggressively pushing the ball up the floor and putting pressure on the Spartans in that ball game.
Andrew Harrison losing the handle for a second. Young just inside the stripe. Robert Morris basketball. And Lucky Jones went down hard. Jones, the junior from Newark. He's in some pain.
I don't know if he just got, there he is on the left side of the screen.
Just kind of jumped up into a Willie Cauley-Stein forearm. Did he have had the wind knocked out of him?
He continues to hold that right hip, and that's the hip that went into Willie Cauley-Stein. It didn't look like a severe enough blow to do any damage, but Lucky Jones would tell us differently right now.
Yeah, it's the hip. It's not.
Again, watch the right hip go into Willie Cauley-Stein. Right there. That's. Willie Cauley-Stein kind of chucks him just a little bit. And Lucky Jones is in a lot of pain. Holding that knee as well. That's not good news for Robert Morris. He is the heart and soul of this ball club. Really an active, quick game, gets fouled a lot. On pace to be probably a 1,000-point scorer, 500 rebound guy.
And a guy who does it inside and outside. He's a tough player for Andy Toole in the NEC. Kentucky up by 22. And here at Rupp, John Calipari's group been able to knock down threes. And they made their free throws. That's really been a big 16 out of 18 for Kentucky in this one from the stripe. Wanting Newton the kick out. And Randle rebounds the Apollon miss. Here come the Cats.
They're going to their X series, and X is what they ran 16 times in a row for Julius Randle. This time they changed it up a little bit in terms of how they get him to that left block, but it's Julius Randle on the left block.
Pretty good job by Randle finding Cauley Stein there.
You know what? They ran it 16 times in a row. Should have ran it 17 or 18. That's the way I look at it.
This Thursday night, a college basketball doubleheader from Madison Square Garden, ESPN2. It's the 2K Sports Classic. 2 semifinal games, 7 Eastern. 19th ranked UConn will take on Boston College, and then 9 Eastern, Indiana going up against Washington. Both games available live on Watch ESPN.
John, we've been the last, 5 or 6 days introducing the country to Jabari Parker and Julius Randle and Andrew Wiggins, Aaron Gordon, all terrific talents in that freshman class. Noah Vonleh at Indiana is probably in that next group. Terrific player. Sindarius Thornwell at South Carolina, who saw earlier this week at Baylor, a terrific player in that freshman class. A guy you and I will see out in Maui, Jabari Bird at Cal. I think he had 24 points in their win against Oakland last night. He's knocking down 50% of his threes. This is a very deep, talented freshman class.
But again, in today's college game, you recruit freshmen to make an impact.
I really like how Kentucky's playing defense in this game. They are shrinking the floor with their size, not getting overextended.
Young couldn't hit, but he got a good look at it. And then Apollon is bumped.
John, the reason why I say that about their defense, talking about Kentucky, I don't know if they have great speed on the perimeter. First of all, to really get out and pressure and guard the ball, especially with the new rules. But secondly, they are so long and so tall. They are built to be a shrink the gap, shrink the floor, and can still close out the threes because of their length. They don't have to be right up on somebody. They have great closeout length about them.
Wortham in and out. Rebound by Andrew Harrison. Up to his brother. Aaron's had himself quite a game. 19 points. Andrew buries a three. Andrew and Aaron Harrison, the twins from Texas. And obviously freshman point guards, the thing we've seen before from John Calipari, whether you're talking Derrick Rose or Tyreek Evans, Teague and Knight and the rest of them. Of course, John Wall as well. That's out of bounds. It'll stay with Robert Morris. So here are the Harrison twins. Andrew number 5, Aaron number 1. Aaron the number 1 ranked shooting guard. Identical twins. McDonald's All-Americans. And as tight as you can imagine, we touched on it earlier, the amount of time they've ever spent apart, less than 24 hours in their lives.
They are identical. John Calipari purposely made them cut their hair differently so he could tell them apart in practice.
That's Aaron right there. Andrew with a little more hair, the point guard on the bench.
John, both those kids, I touched on in the first half. Michael Carter-Williams at Syracuse was a 6'6" point guard. But it wasn't until probably the last half of last year he learned to play lower than the guy that was guarding him. And that's what these Harrison twins have to learn. It has to become natural to them. And it's something you have to work on every single day when you're a tall guard and you're used to getting away with playing lazy offensively, playing too upright.
And a turnover. Oliver turns it over. Kentucky leading at 51-26.
Kentucky, though, they have not shot the ball well in this game. I don't know, 41, 42%, somewhere in there.
Yep.
Under 30. What are they from the three-point line? Maybe 31 or 2%?
5 for 15. You're doing all of this without a calculator. Cauley Stein to kick out. Nope, they get a foul on the floor. That'll be Mike McFadden with the foul, number 4 on him. Team foul number 4. So McFadden will sit. Stephen Hawkins will check back in. Robert Morris led this game 1-0. And it's been all Kentucky since.
On the year so far, Kentucky getting about 60% of every missed shot they have in terms of field goals. That is an alarmingly high number. And they can offset poor shooting nights by just beating you up on the boards.
Waitress gets rejected. Good hands by Aaron Harrison.
Throw it. That is not an easy pass to make from half court. But Kentucky works on it time and time and time again.
Willie Cauley-Stein with the throwdown. They just have so many guys who can play above the rim. And there's a block. Poitras up ahead. Aaron Harrison. 2 more. He's got 21.
Well, John, it all started with Julius Randle dropping his hips and getting in a defensive stance and fighting it. It just takes 1 or 2 guys, and that thing can become contagious.
Randle the board, pitches up ahead. Cauley-Stein, nice look as Dominique Hawkins cuts to the rim. Hawkins, who is Mr. Basketball in-state, won a state title and continuing his dreams. He's a Wildcat.
Kentucky's so good, John, in transition. If the big doesn't run right down the middle of the floor and he flares out to the short corner, they will immediately follow it up with another hard rim run or a rim cut. That's exactly what Hawkins did. That was very well done by Kentucky. Willie Cauley-Stein runs to the short corner. When he gets that ball, here comes the second cut at the rim in transition. It's like the second mouse always gets the cheese. The first mouse doesn't get the cheese. The second mouse gets the cheese. And Hawkins was the second mouse.
And a really good look. Today, the Kentucky bigs have passed the ball well.
They haven't very well. Kentucky as a team has moved the ball. They've had some turnover. They're still not strong enough for the basketball. When they take it into traffic, when they take it into gap help, they are not strong enough with the ball. And they're going to have to continue to improve on. But they have no problem right now trusting each other passing that basketball.
Daywan Newton, Wani, as his teammates call him. And a fight for the loose ball. Newton comes down with it. Hawkins ball fake, and it's slapped away, rejected. Looks like Marcus Lee is down.
He's holding that left knee area.
Lee right in the middle there. Well, he's grabbing his legs like he's cramping almost.
And checking up on the corner is 22 Lucky Jones.
So Lee will sit. Marcus Lee, who started this one, they started 5 freshmen for the first time in program history here today.
Wasn't it interesting? He started Marcus Lee because he was tired of not winning the tip with Willie Cauley-Stein, who's 7 feet tall. So he says, Marcus, you're starting tonight. Win us the tip. About 30 seconds, I'll sub in for you. Message sent, by the way, to Willie Cauley-Stein.
He did win the tip, by the way.
Talked about Kentucky's ability to pass the basketball. It's a hard pass to make. You're going full speed from 50 feet away to the right side of the rim. Well done.
John and Jimmy.
All right, Steve, thanks very much. 57-26 as we check out the AP Top 10. Jimmy Dykes, who's the best team right there?
Well, 4-7 all lost this week. Just from breaking down tape and watching and evaluating who has elite talent and who has really played 5 as 1 on defense, I think it's the Kansas Jayhawks so far. I had Bill Self as my preseason National Coach of the Year. He's off to a start that would say he's going to be in the running. But what his team has done to be so young and defend as hard as they did against an experienced Duke team, you go back and watch that tape. They were in a stance. They talked. They fought it. They weren't perfect. But that's a team with elite talent in their freshman class that is really defending their tails off to start this season.
Well, that Champions Classic was loaded with talent. 1 and 2, Kentucky, Michigan State, 4-5 with Duke and Kansas. Anderson couldn't get it to go. Here's one of the things I'll be interested to see. 5 years from now, if you take the box scores from those 2 games, how many first-round picks were there? How many guys made the league of everybody that played in those 2 games?
It'll be a number of guys. And the talent that Kansas and Kentucky have right now in that freshman class is really something special.
Good to see Lucky Jones back out on the court. Under 11 to go, all Kentucky. Number 1 team in the land bouncing back as Randle shows off the soft touch.
That is probably unstoppable this year in the college game without a double team or a quick dig down or doing something, because he gets on that block and turns to his right shoulder and gets his left paw releasing that basketball. It is one of the most unguardable shots so far to start this season.
Carvel Anderson plus tax. He'll go to the line.
As tape continues to get studied, he is strong left-handed and he will spin back to it a lot. But because he gets his shoulders, and it's a big set of shoulders, into your chest defensively, that left release is too far to affect.
Not the same type of player necessarily, although in the same family, but body type wise, in that he's a lefty. The thing I see, remember Rodney Rogers from Wake Forest,
sure,
as far as just the ability to overpower guys at times. Obviously Rogers was able to step out and knock down shots also.
He has started the offense. Julius Randle has this game a lot on the perimeter, but then John Calipari runs into that block, and again the great ones get to their spot, and that is his spot. Through 3 defenders, he gets to his spot, and it was absolutely done by a combination of strength, but more importantly, quickness. How quick were his feet for a 6'9", 250-pound, 18-year-old kid?
Yeah, 4 straight double-doubles now for Randle. He's got 10 and 13. Poitras at the rim, and he's fouled.
Let's go back to Julius Randle and watch his feet. How quick his feet are. He sees the defense. Watch, boom, the spin right there. Absolutely, there's nothing you can do about it. The help defense has to be there right now. You let him start bouncing the ball and spinning, it's too late. And Julius Randle can feel it, he can see it, he can sniff it out. If you can't guard him on that low box, John Calipari is going to continue to call his number in tight games.
53 to 61 for the freshman. On that last play with Poitras being fouled, Mike McFadden fouling out for Robert Morris. Julius Randle, number 3 recruit in the country on our ESPNU 100. And Mike McFadden done for the evening.
John, we sat there and watched Kentucky's practice today from 1:30 to about 3 o'clock. Who talked? Other than John Calipari, who said a word? Nobody.
Not a lot.
And Alex Poitras, as a sophomore, has to assume a lot of that responsibility, much like Darius Miller did. Miller was an older kid, but this team can only be so good if Poitras doesn't become a voice and a leader on this ball club.
Tate the board. Myers Pate up ahead. Oliver ends up with it.
Kentucky has no interest in playing defense right now. None. They had no interest in transition defense. No, they had no, and now they make a, you got to be kidding me, mistake. They're up 31. This will not be a pleasant next time out with John Calipari.
Take another look. Randle, I think he may have been straddling the baseline, but catches the ball, and Pat Adams was right on top of it.
You can't do that. You couldn't do that in the third grade. You can't do it now. Kentucky's not playing Robert Morris right now. They're playing themselves.
And one. Dakari Johnson will go to the line.
Talk about Dakari Johnson needing to get a shot that he can have against equal-sized defenders. Well, that's not an equal-sized defender right now. The kid's 6'9", 210 pounds, but I like what he does. He gets to that block, he takes his time, he turns to that left shoulder. It's a good go-to shot for Dakari Johnson.
Stephen Hawkins fouling out. Jimmy, let me ask you, as far as Kentucky is concerned, Coach Cal telling us he needs his team to step up the effort. We've seen that for the most part today. But size-wise, they're going to be able to overpower most of these teams in non-conference play. So how do they get ready for the SEC when most nights in these non-conference games, by pure size and talent, they're going to be able to really step on people?
Well, he's gone really hard at him in practice the last 3 days. The shoot-around today wasn't as intense as anyone would like, but I think that's the only place they're going to get better, because they now have the depth and the size this year to go at each other in practice. Last year, they could not. They could not get better on a day-to-day basis because of the lack of numbers that John Calipari had to work with.
Dakari Johnson saying his jersey was grabbed. Coach Calipari said they didn't have enough guys last year. Depth was a real issue.
Well, and as a result, he had to allow guys to play when they weren't playing well. So emotionally and mentally, they're just getting beat down because you can't take them out of the game and set them down and hide them. You get exposed when you don't have a deep bench. Bad players had to keep on playing. That's what happened to Kentucky last year.
He's hoping he's able to set it up so that they could play 9 more consistently, spread out those minutes a bit. 8 to go here in this one. John Shelby, Jimmy Dykes here at Rupp Arena. #1 Kentucky in control. Remember, Robert Morris ending Kentucky's season last year in the NIT. That is not going to happen here at Rupp. They beat him 59-57 on free throws by Mike McFadden with under 9 seconds to go. Robert Morris not able to pull off the feet twice. The revenge, as it were. Again, we talked about the fact that only 4 guys are still on this Kentucky team who played in that game. Cauley Stein, Paulson, Hood, and Poitras. And a foul on Aaron Tate with the hand check. All Kentucky here.
Aaron Harrison came into this ball game through 3 games shooting 40% from the field, but he's making open shots and he's making guarded shots tonight. That's a good sign for the Cats going forward.
The fresh BCS standings, of course, Alabama, Florida State still 1-2, but Baylor creeping up. They're just .001 behind Ohio State right now for the 3rd spot. Stanford falls all the way to 9, and Baylor travels to Oklahoma State Saturday, 8 Eastern on ABC. Back to Lexington.
All right, Steve, thanks. And tomorrow night, Monday Night Football, it's Tom Brady leading the Patriots. Take them on the road to face Cam Newton and the Panthers. Our coverage starts with Monday Night Countdown at 6:30. New England and Carolina, 8:25 on ESPN. Also live on Watch ESPN. Well, the Harrison twins here today, Andrew and Aaron. They have gotten it done. Aaron with 23. Including 3 3-pointers. Julius Randle going to the line. Got 10 points, 15 rebounds.
John, you think about all the stuff that a young player at Kentucky is dealing with right now. Think about this. In their third game as a college player, they played against Michigan State. 1 versus 2 matchup. Talked about for weeks the lead up to it. One of the most watched games in the history of ESPN in terms of college basketball regular season. They have to deal with all that. They have to deal with all the people in their ear in terms of you're being projected this in the draft, whatever. The most important thing for this team, Kentucky's team right now, is to be consumed with being a great college team. All that other stuff will take care of itself. That's how they won the national championship 2 years ago. That's what those guys did.
Anderson couldn't hit. Wortham tracks it down. Robert Morris shooting 19% in this game. Just have had so much trouble dealing with the Kentucky length. They get the foul on Marcus Lee. I know it's early, but from an intangible standpoint, how do you assess this Kentucky team in terms of edge? Do they have that mentality?
I still don't think they have a scratch your eyes out competitive spirit about them. Not yet. But again, it's only November the 17th. You know, we got 4 months until we get to March Madness, and you can get that. It's not natural. Just because you're a top 20 high school kid coming out, you're not always as sure of yourself as most people think you are. You're not as competitive as most people would think you are, but you can get that about it. If this team gets that, then they've got a chance to be a very, very special ball club, if not win the whole thing. If they don't get it, they're still extremely talented, but they won't reach their potential. They will not win at all.
Pat Adams telling Carvel Anderson, tuck in the shirt. Anderson, their leading scorer last year, just under 13 a game. Their leading scorer so far this year. All Kentucky in this one, 65-32. Good help right there as Oliver came over, stripped it away. Anderson from deep. Short, gets the offensive rebound, rejected. And Andrew Harrison is fouled by David Apollon.
Andrew Harrison gets used on the defensive end, doesn't box off, and they get bailed out because of Kentucky's, again, their ability to make up for a mistake. And that's exactly what Willie Cauley-Stein did. He made up for a mistake of a perimeter player. That will work against Robert Morris. It won't work against the North Carolinas and the Louisvilles and the Floridas and the different team that is on that Kentucky schedule.
9 blocks for Kentucky.
Andrew Harrison, though, he's got a lot of good stuff about him, by the way. He also has a lot of areas to grow, but one thing he does have is a change of speed and a burst and a really fast speed that's extremely rare for a kid, a legitimate 6'5", 6'6".
Step back there from Wani Newton.
Good for Kentucky to work against the zone now of Robert Morris. And get stuck on the first side.
Cauley-Stein left his feet. Hawkins cuts and hits.
He's got a great nose for cutting off the ball, does Hawkins. I know he's a point guard, but he cuts like you would like a small forward to cut.
Cauley-Stein, another rebound. Andrew Harrison got it. 6-3 for Kentucky in the game. And it is all Wildcats in this one.
Kentucky, all 5 guys inside that three-point line, and they still give up a drive. But that will be a possession that John Calipari in the film will say, how can this happen? We're not overstretched. We have 5 guys inside the three-point line, and they get the ball to the rim.
And Willie Cauley-Stein will shoot 2. We talked about Andrew Harrison taking over at the point. Here's some other top 10 teams changing at the 1.
Well, look at that. There's 6 teams in the top 10 right now that have a new point guard this year. You and I will see Tyler Ennis from Syracuse out in Maui, who I think is a terrific freshman point guard. A little different from what they've had in the past, not as big. But those are big shoes to fill. We talked about name a great quarterback that's quiet. There's not one. And which one of these freshmen become the vocal guy on their team? And you can't do that until you're completely sure about your own self and what you're supposed to be doing first. It's a process. John Calipari had to go through it with Derrick Rose and Tyreek Evans and John Wall and Brandon Knight. Andrew Harrison's going through the same thing. But you can't wait till January to become the voice on the floor. Or any of those freshman point guards.
Andrew Harrison and Aaron Harrison say that they've been used to leading in AAU and in high school, but it's not quite the same thing. Lonnie Newton, another 3.
John, if you only lead by example, and this is for anyone, if you're only, I don't like it when coaches say he leads by example. Well, then he's not maximizing his spot as a leader.
Well, I've always wondered if leading by example is actually leading.
You can only lead so far. I promise you that. You can only lead so far.
Aaron Harrison drills another. What a game he's put together. 26 points. And then a foul as they get Carvel Anderson.
Well, Andrew Harrison stuck one a couple of minutes ago. Aaron Harrison has been sticking them all night long. Again, they can make hard shots against the outstretched hands because they're 6'6". You cannot take away their vision of the rim. Well, the freshman focus tonight for Kentucky is going to be all season long because they have a plethora of guys that can make plays. Marcus Lee's so good around the rim, the point of the press. The speed and quickness of Randle in person just blows you away. They've ran hard tonight. The Harrison twins, they've played well. They played better on defense. Still a long ways to go. James Young is just a long-arm guy around the rim that's just bottom line hard to guard. But Harrison, Randle, and Young will do that combination probably a lot this year. They're trading tonight. Harrison, Aaron being the leading scorer tonight. Randle has been that guy. But John Calipari has a ton of weapons to work with.
Aaron Harrison at the line as Randle is on the bench. Really didn't need Julius to dominate down low in this one. Kentucky got off to a fast start, didn't look back.
John, his feet tonight, talking about Aaron Harrison, have been terrific as a shooter. Good feet equals good shots, bad feet equals bad shots. And he has taken good shots because he's been dog determined to get his feet in the proper spot. Whether he's made a guarded shot or an open shot, his feet have been terrific.
Coach Calipari talked about being a little too upright for Aaron Harrison, that receiving the ball and then getting down a little bit in that stance to shoot. He said, no, too late. See, games upcoming, our promo tree, a TV term for it. Memphis at Oklahoma State Tuesday, then Long Beach State, Michigan Thursday, and then UConn and BC also Thursday, ESPN2.
Get a good look at Marcus Smart. You could make the argument Marcus Smart the best point guard in college basketball. I think it's Aaron Craft of Ohio State. You consider both ends of the floor. They're different. But you couldn't go wrong with either one, but there are some really good ones in the game. Chris Jones down the road at Louisville. Elfrid Payton, the kid at Louisiana, had a big game against Arkansas on Friday night. Arkansas won the game. Elfrid Payton is terrific, an off-the-radar guy that I watched this summer in the USA basketball up in Colorado Springs. But you will not win big if that point guard spot isn't special or really close to it.
Derek Willis able to hit. Back to Marcus Smart for a second. We talked about freshmen learning what it will take to play at this level. I think the one area where Travis Ford knew that Marcus Smart would bring it, intensity and effort and that competitive fire. It stood out watching him play on the court. He played harder than most of the guys on the floor most nights.
What do you do when you're not scoring to still help your team win? Watch Marcus Smart play the game. You'll get a lot of good ideas of what that's supposed to look like.
Oh, man. Hawkins with a rejection right there. That one gets away from Dakari Johnson. It will be Robert Morris basketball.
We've called Dominique Hawkins' name a couple of times in this ball game. I think he's a very important guy. The reason why Andrew Harrison played 38 minutes against Michigan State, that's way too many. No one can play as hard as you have to play at this level, playing 38 minutes. Hawkins has to come in, guard the basketball, run the team, not turn it over, and tonight he's shown me that he can more than do that.
Let me ask you this question as it relates to Andy Toole's team, and maybe the answer really is nothing, but when you are out-talented the way they are, and you just from a size standpoint, etc., what do you learn from this game?
They fought really hard. You know, you go back and watch the first 10 minutes of this game, they were fighting really hard. They just didn't have the size to match up. And they've been on the road since Monday, 3 straight road games, and they just didn't have the punch that they had last year. They threw the punches last year against Kentucky in front of 3,500 people, and Kentucky didn't have anyone that wanted to be in the moment. They had guys running from the moment. Not this year's Kentucky team. Wired completely different than what last year's group looked like.
Robert Morris, after this one, will get on their bus and drive 5.5 hours back to Moon Township. Kind of a circus attempt there from Apollon. The lob, and Willis throws it down. We've seen a lot of that in this game. 38-point lead for the Wildcats. And Tate with the putback.
Now, John, looking forward to a week from Monday. You and I will be in Maui. And, well, it's always such a special tournament to be a part of. But when you look at that field out there this year, right off the bat, California and Arkansas are going to go at it. And what could be a very highly competitive game. 2 really good freshmen, Bobby Portis from Arkansas and Jabari Bird from California. Then right afterwards, we'll get a look at Richard Pitino's team from Minnesota taking on Syracuse. What does that zone for Syracuse look like this year? A terrific team in terms of their front line, and Cooney shooting the ball well. Then you drop down, and Gonzaga and Dayton. Gonzaga, a team that looks really good to me right now with Pangos and Bell.
Those are 2 guys, by the way, and college basketball has these players, and it's just perception. Pangos and Bell are going to be those guys that are going to feel like they've been there for about forever. 8 years. Yeah. 2 really good players.
Baylor and Chaminade will be the other opening game on that Monday. Baylor extremely talented. I had them against South Carolina in the tip-off marathon. And they have a lot of pieces to work with. Another team that doesn't understand yet how hard you have to compete and go at it. But if they can figure that out and stay consistent with it, they will be right there in the mix with Kansas and Oklahoma State in that Big 12. Talent-wise, there's no reason why they shouldn't be.
Finally a tip to Dakari Johnson on the hood miss.
Well, John, it's been all Kentucky. We talked about in the open, 4 days older doesn't make you better. Better makes you better. And Kentucky has made progress since Michigan State. I think they had a better effort in terms of defensively in a stance and rotating and helping people. They switched properly tonight on occasion. They moved the ball really well. They didn't drive the ball into bad spots nearly as many times as they did against the Spartans on the Tuesday night. They have made baby steps, but they have gone forward since the last time we saw them.
Yeah, played with more energy in this one. I don't think there's any doubt. And Kentucky early on shooting 26% from 3 going into the game. Today at 37% from 3. And you hear it every once in a while. We have good shooters, but we just haven't shot it well. And I think today we got to look at one of their good shooters who hadn't been shooting it all that well, and today did, in Aaron Harrison. 4 for 7 from 3 and 28 points.
You know, the other thing for Kentucky, like Kansas right now, teams with a lot of key pieces in that freshman and sophomore class. John Calipari's trying to figure out still how he needs to play this year. They will grow and change when he learns his guys and the strength of his guys, especially on the offensive end. They can mash you around the rim right now with their power game with Poitras and Randle. They have that in place. Looks like they can stretch you a little bit. How far they go may determine how good their offense is against soft man-to-man and zone, because they are going to see a ton of it. And do these guys ever get to the point where they absolutely fight you defensively every possession? They're not there yet. Actually, they have a long ways to go, but they are better tonight than they were on Tuesday night.
All Kentucky, the #1 team in the country, at least for now. New poll comes out tomorrow. Kentucky wins it 87-49. Coach Cal and company with the win. We'll come back to Rupp and wrap things up after this.